Hey guys, how's it going today? It's Captain Energy. Today we're going to take a step outside of our sound design curriculum that we've been working on. We're not going to do any 808 stuff right now. I've got a request from a subscriber asking for an example of how to use Cubase and Reason together using Reason's players on Cubase, but not just that because we've already covered that, but how to use one player to control multiple tracks in Cubase. Is it possible? It is. Is it easy? Maybe not. But let's get into it and see what we can do. All right?
All right, here we are in Cubase. Let's start by adding a couple instruments. Okay, I'm going to right click and we're going to add an instrument track. And this is going to be a Halion, actually. Let's go right down here to Halion Sonic SE. And we'll add two just to save time. And there they are. Now, each one of these needs an instrument attached to it. So I'm going to go and we're going to make this one, which is number 2. See the numbers right here in the upper left-hand corner. Number 2 is going to be my string sound. So I'm going to jump right over here to strings, and we're going to go with cello. Okay, there's my cello. And on instrument 1, I'm going to go for piano. So click piano, and we'll go for this one right here, piano in the house. Sounds like a fun piano. I don't think I've heard that one before. I'm going to close these windows just because they're in the way at the moment. Okay. And now what I'm going to do, and something I recommend everybody does, is name your tracks. Because when you don't name your tracks, you will spend a lot of time and possibly hours on a project trying to figure out which track is which, because they'll be labeled Halion Sonic SE1, SE2, SE3, SE4, and when you've got 15 or 30 tracks in there, all of a sudden you don't know which one's piano, which one's flute, and you've got to listen to them individually, and it just becomes a pain. So label them up front, save yourself the headache later. So I'm going to go string. Okay, this one's piano, and now just double checking. That's piano. All right, so we have strings and piano. One other thing we're going to need here is a Reason player. Now, in order to add that, we right click again. We hit Add Instrument Track. Drop down here. Go to Reason Rack Plugin. There we go. On my Cubase, it's an other. It could be different on yours. Right now, we're just waiting. All right, there it is. Reason plugin. All right, so now we go right over here to add other device. Okay, I'm gonna hit players. Now the player that I was asked about was the scales and chords player. So I'm gonna go right here and just add a scales and chords. And that is all we need right there for that to work. What's gonna happen now, I'm gonna give this a name, just so I know what's going on. All right. And now, if we go to the instruments that we added a minute ago, you'll see over here on the left this little arrow pointing into a box. Click that with your left mouse button, and it will open up this menu. In this menu, you'll see all the things that can send MIDI to your instruments. In this case, since we're using the Reason player, just click Reason player on your strings, and then do it again on your piano. Right here, Reason player. And that will do that. Now, if I click the Reason player right here, and I play a key, you'll hear nothing. Why? Because we didn't click the monitor button. Sorry about that. Right here. Now you can hear both. If I want to hear just one, I can just unmute. Just mute one channel and, go turn off monitor on the other and go back and forth. Now what you want to do is you want to go over here to your player and choose your scale. Now this scale is going to affect everything you do in this project. So be sure you got the right scale, because eventually when we get to the part where we start rendering things, it becomes problematic to go backwards. It is possible, and I'm going to show you how to do that, but it's best to get it right up front. All right, I'm going to choose my scale. It's going to be A, and we'll go with A minor. And I'm going to put chords is fine, but I'm going to do 2-note chords, and I'm going to do the first inversion, and I'm going to throw on 1 octave up. That will give me, some octaves, a little bit of. There you go. That sounds real nice. All right. So now we're working with the piano because, as you can see, I have that in monitor mode, and the strings are in not monitor mode. So what we want to do next is want to block off an area over here, which I've already gone ahead and done, but I've selected first 4 bars to be a loop. Okay, so bring this back, double click your stop button. That should get you back to the beginning. And it didn't. Why is it not bringing me to the beginning? All right, we'll use 1. If you press 1 on your keyboard, that will take you back to the beginning of the loop. So we'll go that way. All right. So now I'm going to record just a little bit with the piano real fast. All right. Now, one thing I want to do here, because my timing was a little off. I'm just going to pull that forward just a little bit. That should be about right. 1, 2, 4. Everybody's on beat all the way around everywhere else. All right, let's just listen to that real quick. All right, that sounds nice to me. So now we have some options, okay? First option would be to render this as audio. Rendering it as audio is an option. It commits it, but it doesn't give you the most flexibility. The second way to do this, and this is the way that I'm recommending here, is to click record here on the strings, on the piano, which is what we're playing right now. Okay. Select your piano. And now I'm going to turn off loop for a second. The reason I'm turning off loop, so you know, is because when you do this Cubase kind of playing itself through the player method, which is what we're going to show you right now, if you leave it on loop, it goes back and dubs notes over the notes. And if you let it continue, it will play chords over chords over chords until it makes a giant mess. So we only want to go through and record once. Therefore, we turn off loop. All right. So loop is off. We're at the beginning. I'm going to hit record. And that's it. Now, as you notice up here on the notes for this piano, you will see that I'm going to put this player out of the way for a minute here. You will see that it recorded the actual full 3-note chords up there for what you played with a single finger down here on the player. And that's what we're going for, you know. Now we've got a nice representation, nice recording of what we were actually working on, and we have it flattened out, and it's ready to be worked with. What I'm doing here is I'm cutting off this tail, because this is unnecessary, especially if this is something that I'm going to loop or do something else with. Now if we go in here, double click that, and we go and look at these notes, this gives us a little bit of something we didn't have before. I mean, I can go in here now and go, huh, well that sounded cool, but maybe I want to take this, this note here, and I want it to, rather than play it just once, I want to do something where it, plays a little different on this last chord. I can change that. That's not something you can do straight from the player. Not easily. I mean, let's give it a listen just for the heck of it. I'm not keeping it, but you get the idea. You can mess with it. You can do some things you wouldn't normally do. Maybe you want to add even a fourth note in here somewhere. You want to throw something in to add a little bit of like a little abrasiveness. Throw in something that rubs on it a little, give it that kind of tension note type sound. All right, but now we've got that recorded. So now what do? We've got this channel, this piece right here recorded. We've got that piece right there recorded. We don't really need this piece, but we don't want to get rid of it either, because if I decide I want to re-record that, this is going to be very handy to have. Okay. So what I would recommend, and this is what I'm saying is the idea of this video here, is that we take this piece, first of all, we go over here and we change the name. So we know that this is the player, reason, and we're going to go piano. So we know what it's playing. Because when you come back to this in 6 months, 3 years, or even 2 or 3 days in some cases, you're going to look at this and go, what the heck did I do? And this is your tip right here of what happened, where we're at. It's a player, it's the reason player track for the piano. And the piano's right up here. Okay, I see what's happening. You could even color code these if you want to. Not a horrible idea. But I'm just, for the sake of this video, moving along, we're just going to go on to the next thing. Okay, so now I go to the player and I add a MIDI track for it, okay? And this MIDI track, I'm going to add the 2 that I need, actually, technically, because I'm going to need another one in a minute. So we add 2 MIDI tracks, okay? Accidentally named it 2 instead of making 2. That's all right. And I'm just going to call this player piano. Just for the sake of having it around, I'm going to add one more MIDI track because I actually do need another track in a minute. And we'll just call this one player strings. Okay. And there we go. There's my player strings. There's my player piano. And now, turn off monitor on my piano. I'm going to turn on monitor on my strings. And now I'm going to go to my reason player. I'm going to play a string part here. Okay. There we go. All right. Let's listen again. All right, that'll do fine for the purpose of the demonstration. Not crazy about it, but whatever. Yeah. There we go. All right, so that makes the notes just kind of go to the end of each note. Makes sure they play through. Just trying to lower that. So now that we've lowered the velocity on all those, Let's just give this a quick listen one more time. Yeah, that's better. All right. So now, I don't know why I'm trying to make this sound much better. It's just for the purpose of showing how to do this anyway. So, but yeah, you get the idea. All right. So now we have that done. Now what we want to do is record this in full chord mode. Now, there's a couple things we can do here that we may want to look at right now. If we go here and we turn this on loop, put this on loop. Now I'm going to go over to the player itself for a second here. All right, that's nice right there. This is what I'm going to commit. Made a few tweaks, listened to it, came down to the fact that I like the way this sounds. So now what we're going to do is go over here. We're going to hit record on the strings. Okay. I'm going to turn off hide that for a minute. We're going to turn off loop right here. All right. And now I'm going to hit record. And that is it. Now, take my scissors. I'm going to cut this again, like we did before, just because I don't like stuff hanging over the edges. And now I'm going to take this piece right here, which is what we just recorded to make that rendered piece. I'm going to put that down on strings. Another muted track. It's not going to play through. And now, if I just go ahead and play this, that's it. It's rendered. So now we've got all the notes written out. Everything is in tune with each other because we stuck with this one scale that we set up, which was A minor. Now here's the thing, okay? We could technically change the entire project's scale. However, in order to do that, it would be a very annoying process of taking each of these pieces that we saved down here on the muted tracks, putting them back up to the player, going to the player once, of course, you don't have to do this part once, but changing the scale of the player. So if I want to do it in C, we'll go with, F major, okay? It would play it in F major. What I played would transfer to F major, and I would record that again to, in this case it's piano, so I'd record it to the piano track, okay? Strings would get recorded to the strings track, whatever, and it would render a new rendered group of notes like this. But you would have to do that for each individual track, and then you'd want to put them back in there like empty bins for later in case you need them. And that's why we did this, was it's kind of like an in case. You want to do what you want, or you want to make sure you know what you want to happen before you do it. This will save you so much work later on. It really is the best practice to kind of, when you're making music, a best practice is to know what your scale is. If you don't understand scales and you don't know music theory, that's okay. Just know that whatever sounds right to you now needs to be what you want it to sound like at the end. That will get you where you want to be without having to worry about scales and chords, not the plugin, but just in general, the real deal, what scales and chords do, what they are, how they work. But that is it. And that's how you can render out every track using one player in Cubase. Now, as I said earlier, is it the best way to do this? I mean, it's kind of you work in one way or the other. If you can commit to one scale, or to the scale that you are saying you want to use, and you know that's where you want to land at the end. Okay, so it's 1, 2. I can commit to the scale. It's what I know I want to hear at the end of this whole project. Then, yes, go ahead and go this route. Render it, print it per se, and you're ready to rock. If you are the type of person who is going to probably change their mind a few times, 2 or 3 times, 10 times, 100 times, then what I would probably suggest, as annoying as it's going to be, is to add a player per track. The reason being, if you need to make changes to that track, if you need to make changes to that player, and you need that information to propagate throughout the project up till the end point, that's going to be the least amount of work after you would initially have rendered. If you can commit, it's less work to print your music and be done with it, and that'll be that. If you can't commit and you need to change, then your best route is definitely going to be a player per instrument, because otherwise you're basically going to have a lot of rendering to do, and it's easy to get mixed up if you don't know, if you get something confused. And that's it. I guess that's it. So I hope this video was helpful to you all. I've got a lot more videos to make, and this one took longer than I thought it would. I was just trying to help out one of my subscribers and anyone else who has run into this and may want to look into this as a possible solution to a problem that it's a tough one to overcome. I mean, other solutions, I mean, not for nothing, but other solutions might be to use something else, like maybe I haven't used either of these. I own one of them, but I haven't used it that much. Captain Chords or Cthulhu. There are a bunch of other type chord and scale type applications out there that give you this capability that is in Scales and Chords in Reason. They will cost you money, but they will bring that capability into Cubase as a VST type plugin, as opposed to kind of using a plugin that may not be, I don't know, the easiest solution. I mean, I can't say that they're going to be any easier. Personally, I say try the downloads, the trials, and see what you think. If you want me to try the trials and download the trials and get you some answers, feel free to let me know. I'll see what I can do. Maybe I can get a promotional copy or something of them to play with, or at least an extended trial, so I can do a video on them intelligently and not know what I'm doing per se, because I haven't used them. And the this player here, the players in Cubase with Reason rather, have met my needs in a lot of ways that I just feel like this is my solution. Well, I hope that helped somebody. Especially, I hope it helped out my subscriber. But for everyone else, I hope you were able to get something out of this. And if you found this video helpful, useful, or you think any of the other videos that I've got up are useful and helpful to you, please like and subscribe. Don't forget to click the alerts button so that you'll know when my next videos drop. I really look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Have a great day. Now go make some music.